We're going to be creating these sort of pie wedges, and you're going to be putting them together in groups of 8 students to create these beautiful radial symmetrical designs. The designs were colored using liquid watercolor paint, which was donated to my classroom from Oriental Trading Company. So right now I'm going to teach you how to make one of these beautiful designs. You're going to be tracing circles of various sizes onto oak tag. Try and find the biggest circle template you can and subsequent smaller ones. You can have 5 circles going from large to small. Cut them out and then fold each circle in half and then in half again, and then open it up and fold the 2 edges into the middle. When you open it up, you should have a circle that's got 8 pie slices. And they should be evenly sized. Now you're going to cut out 1 pizza slice from each circle. So you're going to have a series of pizza slices going from large to small. You should have 5 of them. When you're done, you're going to trace the largest piece onto a piece of watercolor paper, and then you're going to take the next smaller one and you're going to line it up and trace that curved line. And you're going to continue doing that until you have a pizza slice with concentric curved lines inside it. In each space, you're going to have a different type of design. Draw a curved line that loops over itself and connects at the end. Make sure the loops are big. You're going to go over and then under. Each loop is going to go both over and under. So you're going to have to do some erasing to create that illusion of overlapping. So you're going to continue your lines along until you get to the next loop, and then it's going to go over. You're going to continue that pattern of over and under. Each loop is going to go over and then under itself. In order to create the illusion of overlapping, you're going to have to do erasing whenever you get to a loop to make it look like one part of the loop is going over and the next is going underneath. Now, if you do it properly, when you connect at the end, you'll get an endless road that goes over and under an even amount of times. All the rest of your roads are going to go off the edge of the paper, and then they're going to go underneath your design and then over your design. So whenever you decide to go over, you must erase what you already drew to create that illusion of overlapping. Now what you're trying to do is you're trying to create a design that fills the entire space and creates interesting negative shapes. So what the negative shapes are, they're the shapes that are in the background. Every single line has to go off the edge of the page or connect to the beginning. So you're creating these endless roads. But what you do is you look at the space in between the roads and check if they make interesting shapes. If they don't make interesting shapes, you need to add more roads. If it looks like a lot of dead space, you need to add more roads in order to create interesting negative space. So the shapes in between the roads need to be as interesting as the roads themselves. And you're going to be painting this, so you need to make sure that whatever you draw is wide enough that you'll be able to fit a paintbrush through. So once you've created all your negative shapes and you've created all your roads, you're done. The next series of shapes are going to be made out of zigzag lines, and they're also going to overlap. So let me show you how to do that. First of all, you start out with a wide zigzag line, and you don't want it to touch the top or the bottom because you need to leave room for the second line. So you want to turn this into a road. In order for it to be a road, you have to have an imaginary car that is able to navigate on it. So that means the lines can't touch. So you got to keep the space nice and even and make a second line next to the first one. Okay, and now what we have is an imaginary zigzag road that goes off the edge of the paper on both sides. Now for the overlapping part. I'm going to make another line straight going down, and it's going to go over, and now I have to erase, and then it's going to hide under. And that's why you didn't want to make your zigzag go all the way to the top or all the way to the bottom. You need to leave space. So it hides under, it goes up a little ways, and then it goes over. Every time it goes over, you have to erase. And now it's going to hide underneath. And all your lines have to be straight. And now that it's hid underneath, the next one is over. So you have to remember the pattern of where it went under and where it went over. And you have to erase as you go so you don't get confused. So this goes over, and then it hides under. This goes over, then it hides under. This goes over. It's a little bit challenging. So this hides under, and then this goes over. Hides under, and this goes over. It goes over, you have to erase, because this is on top and that one's on the bottom. And then it goes off the edge of the paper. And when you're done with that, you can add a little bit of shading to all the underlines. Every time it hides underneath, you can add a little bit of a shadow. And that'll give it more of a 3D effect. The next space that you use is going to be filled with spirals. The spirals can end in a point and then go back to the beginning to create a road that dead ends in a point. But in order to do that, you're going to have to make the spirals very loose and open. When you're done drawing the spirals, you can shade wherever they go underneath something you've already drawn. If you make them go over something you've already drawn, you have to erase. And when you're done with the spirals, the very last design is going to be a combination of everything you've already done. You can use zigzags, you can use spirals, you can use the curved lines. The only rule is that if you make a spiral, it has to end in a point, and if you make any other type of road, it has to go off the edge of the page. And anytime you get to something you've already drawn, you've got to either go underneath it or erase to make it look like you're going over it. And then you can add shadows wherever you have your roads going underneath to create overlapping. That'll create more of a 3D effect. You're going to leave this last wedge in your pie slice blank. To color this project, I used the liquid watercolor set from Oriental Trading. It's only $29.99 for this huge classroom set, which lasts forever because the colors are so very concentrated. I'll put the link to this product in the video description. It's the best deal I've found for liquid watercolor. So first of all, we're going to take magenta and we're going to mix it with yellow. What we're doing is we're creating a yellow, yellow-orange, orange, red-orange, all the way down to magenta. So we're using magenta as if it were a primary color in place of red. So once you've mixed all those colors from yellow all the way down to magenta, you're going to start painting in the roads of your first design. If you take water and you put it at the edge of the color, you can soften the edge, particularly if you're using watercolor paper. You could take two colors, put them next to each other, and blend them. This liquid watercolor really gives you a lot of control over the colors and how to blend them. The Sharpie marker acts as a barrier to keep your painting within the lines. So what I'm doing is I'm making analogous color gradients. Analogous colors are colors that are next to each other on the color wheel. So any colors that you can create using magenta or red and yellow come under the heading of analogous colors. So what I'm doing is I'm going from color to color and I'm just gently blending them together. If the color dries, you can re-wet it and blend the edge, so you don't have to worry about those hard edges that you sometimes get when you're using waterproof ink. So I'm going to fill in all the roads in that top section, those curved line roads, with these warm colors. Now, as you know, there are three primary colors. You can use magenta or red, and then the other two colors are yellow and blue. So because I used magenta and yellow, the last color, the color that I did not use, was blue. And that's the color I'm going to put in the background. As you can see, I'm trying to emphasize the overlapping because any road that goes underneath, I'm using a slightly darker color. And then as it goes over, I'm using a lighter color. So the magenta is going underneath the roads that go under, and the yellow is going on the roads that as they go over. And I'm sort of blending the edges of the color so that it forms a very soft gradient. Keep in mind that the three primary colors are magenta, yellow, and blue. We did not use blue when we made the roads, so we're going to be using that leftover color, that blue, for the background. Blue is the opposite color of orange because red and yellow make orange, and the one primary color you did not use was blue. The opposite color is also known as the complementary color, and using the complementary color in the background creates a beautiful sense of contrast. The opposite color of orange being blue, when you put the blue next to it, the orange almost appears to vibrate. So that's what we're doing for the background. In the next area, I used blue and magenta to make purple, and in the next area, I used yellow and blue to make green. So the opposite of purple is yellow, and therefore I'm putting yellow in the background and back of the purple area. The opposite of green, if you know that yellow and blue make green, is going to be red or magenta. So I'm putting magenta in the background of the green area. In each section, you fill in the lines using two primary colors, and you save that last primary color for the background. And that creates a beautiful sense of contrast because that last primary color is the opposite of the color you mixed. And putting them next to each other causes contrast. That last section is where you get to play around and use up all your leftover paint. You can make every line a different color. You can use whatever colors you want. You can experiment with mixing two colors to see how well they go together. And you fill in that background area with black. If your colors are dry in your palette, you can just re-wet them and reuse them. 8 of these pie wedges create approximately a circle. So what you're going to be doing is you're going to be getting together with 7 of your classmates, and you're going to be putting your pie wedges together, and they're going to be exhibited as a circle in the hallway. Everyone's design will be unique, so the final design, when put together, will have a lot more variety than this sample design, but will be unified by the lines and types of colors everyone uses.